Hello everyone, I welcome you all for the course Engineering Metrology on the topic comparators. So this is the third lecture on this topic. The contents of the today's lecture are recalling of the second lecture, and then we will discuss the Johansson microcator, and then we will discuss the sigma comparator, and then we will discuss the what are the advantages and limitations of the mechanical comparators, and then we will summarize the today's topic contents. So from the second lecture, so we understood that what is comparator. So comparator is an instrument which provides the comparative measurement, is called the comparator. So the comparators are used in various ways. So we can use the comparator as a laboratory standard for setting the inspection gauges and also for inspecting the newly purchased gauges. So we can also use the comparator as a working gauge to prevent the spoilage and to maintain the required tolerance at all important stages of manufacturing. So since the product is produced during the various stages of the manufacturing, so we need to measure the dimensions or check the dimensions at each and every stage, and if there is any deviation of the component in that stage, then we have to rectify them so that we can prevent the spoilage of the work material or rejection of the final product. And also the comparators can be used as a final inspection gauge in the selective assembly process. So in which the components are measured, and then they are classified into number of groups depending upon their tolerances. So in that purpose also we use the comparators. And also we use the comparators as a receiving inspection gauge. So if any material is material or parts are received from the outside sources or from the vendors, so in order to check the parts for the dimensions, required dimensions, we use the comparator for inspecting the receiving the goods or components. And also we can use the comparators in mass production. So where the large volume of the components are produced in the manufacturing process, so we need to check all the components for a number of dimensions at a time at a very fast rate. So for this purpose we use the comparators. And also we discussed the characteristics of a good comparator. A good comparator should have the robust design and construction. So the comparator should be robust so that it can withstand the effects of ordinary uses of the comparator and without affecting its measuring accuracy. And then the second characteristic, the good comparator should have the linear characteristics of the scale. So the the calibrated scale should be linear and it should be uniform, and the indications should be clear on the calibrated scale. And the third characteristic is high magnification. So that means even the smallest movement of the plunger also should also be read by the comparator. And the fourth characteristic is quick in results. So the comparator should provides the results at minimum or least possible time. And versatility. Versatility is the another characteristics of the good comparator. So that means it provides the wide range of measurements and minimum wear of contact point. So the contact point should be made with hardened steel or diamond materials, so that the wear of the contact point should be minimum. And the comparator should be free from oscillations. That means the pointer should come rapidly to rest, and it should be free from the oscillations. And the another one is backlash. So the comparator should avoid the backlash effect, so that no last motion takes place. So we'll get the accurate results. And another characteristic is quick insertion of the workpiece. So the comparator should be designed in such a way that the workpiece should be inserted underneath the plunger quickly. And another characteristic is adjustable table. So the vertical the table can be adjusted in the vertical direction. It is possible. It should be possible in the comparator for accommodating the different sizes of the workpieces and different geometries of the workpieces. And the compensation from the temperature effects. The comparator can be used to measure the to check the components even at elevated temperatures and also at normal temperatures. The measuring accuracy should not affect the by the temperature. And the means to prevent damage. So that means even if the plunger moved through a greater distance than the corresponding to the range of its measuring scale, the comparator should not be damaged. So these are the characteristics of the good comparator. And then we classified the comparators. Comparators are classified into mechanical comparators, electrical and electronic comparators, electromechanical comparators, optical comparators, mechanical optical comparators, pneumatic comparators, fluid displacement comparators, multi-check comparators, automatic gauging machines, projection comparators, high sensitive calibration comparators we have. So in that, the mechanical comparators. What is mechanical comparator? So mechanical comparators are the type of comparator which is made up of mechanical means. So mechanical means so it uses the levers, gears, and rack and pinion for magnifying the movement of the plunger into the pointer. And then we discussed the dial indicator, and also we discussed the reed type of mechanical comparator. So the dial indicators are classified based on its shape of the dial. So into sector type of dial indicators and circular type of dial indicators. And also the mechanical dial indicators, mechanical comparators. Another one is the dial indicators. In the dial indicators, we have the gear and pinion type dial indicators, and then lever type dial indicators. So in this lever type, we have the simple lever type dial indicators and compound mechanism type dial indicators. Compound lever mechanism dial indicators. The second comparator is a reed type mechanical comparator. So in the reed type mechanical comparator, we use the number of reeds to avoid the frictional contacts. So this is the lecture 2, and we move on to the lecture 3. So in this, we discuss the Johansson microcator. So this photograph shows the Johansson microcator, so which was developed by C.E. Johansson. So this uses the twisted strip to magnify the small movement of the plunger into a pointer scale. So it is also called as a twisted strip comparator. So there is another name for this comparator because the magnification, mechanical magnification system is designed by the Abrahamson. So that's why this is also called as Abrahamson moment. So this Johansson microcator consists of the base, and also there is a table. Table is mounted on the vertical column, and also there is a measuring unit is also mounted on the vertical column. So depending upon the geometry of the workpiece and dimensions of the workpiece, we can change the table, and also we can adjust the table at along the length of the column to accommodate the different size of the workpieces. And also we can also adjust the measuring unit along the length of the column by using the locking screws. So this Johansson microcator consists of the various components. One is the twisted metal strip, and we have the glass pointer, and we have the cantilever strip, we have the bell crank lever, and then there is a plunger, there is a slit washer. So this Johansson microcator works on the principle of button spinning on a loop of string. Button spinning on a loop of string. So this button spinning may be played by most of the people. So let us will see how the button spinning will work. So this is the button is having the holes, and the thread is passed, and the thread is inserted in the holes, and then we tie the thread at the ends, and then we will support the one side of the thread with the left hand finger, and the other end is supported by the right hand finger, and then we will turn this button. So we will rotate this button. So this button will spins, and if this string will pull out, this string will unwind, thereby button speed will increase. So if we push the thread in, the speed of the button decreases. So because the thread will wound, and the speed of the button will decrease. So on this principle, the microcator works. So so this consists of the two halves of the twisted metal strip carrying the very lightweight glass pointer. This can be twisted in the opposite direction, so that causes the unwinding of the strip, So that causes the rotation of the pointer. So the one end of the twisted metallic strip is connected to the cantilever strip. Another end is attached to the bell crank lever. The other end of the bell crank lever is attached to the or connected to the plunger. So this plunger moves through the slit washer, because this S-shaped two members are connected through this slit washer. So this plunger moves through this slit washer. This slit washer provides the frictionless movement to the plunger. Another one is this slit washer prevents the rotation of the plunger about its own axis. So if any small linear movement is given to the plunger, so that causes the movement for the bell crank lever. So this bell crank lever applies either push or pull on the strip, so which causes the rotation of the glass pointer. So the length of the strip changes as the pull or push applies by the bell crank lever on the strip. Accordingly, the magnification of the pointer also takes place. So the pointer also rotates on the calibrated scale. So the calibrated scale is employed with the pointer. And also the comparator is designed in such a way that even the small, very minute movement of the plunger also causes the rotation of the pointer on the calibrated scale. And also the magnification of the twisted strip is varied by changing the cantilever strip length. And also, in order to prevent the excessive stress at the center of the twisted strip, the perforations are made. So how this Johansson microcator can be used for comparing the dimensions? So let us initially, so we will place the what is called standards. So we will place the measuring standard under the plunger, or the working standard will be placed underneath of the plunger, and then we will take the reading over the calibrated scale. Then we will remove the working standard. Generally we use the slip gauges. Generally we use the slip gauges. These slip gauges are used as working standard to set the required dimension. And then we will take the reading on the calibrated scale. Then we will remove the working standard. Generally it is slip gauges. And then we will pass the component which is to be checked for the required dimension. Again, we will take the measurement reading on the calibrated scale, and then we will compare the reading with the actual working standard. So the deviations can be measured using the Johansson microcator. So this is about the Johansson microcator. And the magnification of the microcator is given by the relation d theta by dl is directly proportional to L divided by N into W square, where L is the length of the twisted strip, and N is the number of turns, 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, like that. N is the number of turns, and W is the width of the strip. So d theta by dl is the amplification of the microcator, and L is the length of the metal strip measured along the neutral axis. W is the width of the metal strip. So from this relation, so we can clear that the magnification is inversely proportional to the number of turns and the width of the strip. If the number of turns are small and thinner the strip is, higher the magnification. Or in other words, the magnification is directly proportional to the length of the twisted strip. The another comparator is called sigma comparator. This sigma comparator is most popular and British manufactured mechanical comparator. So this is available in various choices of scale ranges. The magnification of sigma comparators usually in the range of 1000:1. That means 1000 times magnifies the moment of the plunger. So this photograph shows the sigma comparator, which has the sturdy base. On the base, table is mounted. So here the table is a replaceable table. So depending upon the geometry of the workpiece and the size of the workpiece, the table can be replaced. And there is a vertical column. The back side we have the vertical column. On the vertical column, the measuring head is mounted. So this measuring head can accommodate the different size of the workpieces by moving this measuring head along the vertical column, and we can lock at any desired position by using the locking screw. So this is the schematic diagram of the sigma comparator. So this consists of the various parts. One is the rectangular bar, and there is a plunger which is connected to the rectangular bar. So this rectangular bar is supported by the two flexure plates. One is here and another one is here. And there is a cross strip hinge. So the details of the cross strip hinge is given here. So this cross strip hinge has the moving member and there is a fixed member. These two are connected by the two flexible strips. So these two members are right angles to each other. So they will move or rotate about this axis. And there is a knife edge, so which bears on the moving member of the cross strip hinge, and this knife edge screwed by the attachment screwing attachment. And there is a Y arm whose one end is connected to the moving member of the cross strip hinge. Another end is connected to the driving drum by means of bronze bands. On the driving drum spindle, there is a pointer also mounted, pointer also connected. So this pointer moves on the calibrated scale. So this is the construction of the sigma comparator. How this sigma comparator can be used for comparing the dimensions. So this is the surface plate. So we will place the job or workpiece underneath the plunger. So before passing the produced component or the component which is to be checked for the required dimensions, initially we have to set the comparator for the required dimension, and also we can set the comparator to the limits of dimensions. So with the help of working standard. So we will place the working standard first, and then we will set the comparator to 0 position. So this indicates the 0 position. That is the basic size of the component. And then we will also set the comparator to the high limit of the size of the high limit of the component, and also low limit of the component with the help of the working standard. Generally we use the slip gauges. So we pile up the slip gauges to the lower limit of the limit of the component, and then we can set the comparator limit to the lower limit by adjusting these knobs. And then we can also set the comparator to the higher limit of the higher limit. So we can set this comparator to the lower limit and also set for the higher limit also, higher limit of the component. So after setting this comparator to the maximum limits and minimum limits of the size of the component and the nominal size, then we will replace the working standard, and then we can replace the working standard with the workpiece or job for which we need to check the limits of this size. So we will pass the job underneath the plunger. So any deviation is observed, this plunger will move either up or down. Accordingly, the knife edge moves and drives the moving member of the cross strip hinge, that in turn moves the Y arm. This Y arm drives the driving drum, and the pointer moves on the calibrated scale. If the pointer moves beyond the upper and lower limits, then the component may be rejected or needs rework. If the component is the pointer is checks the within lower limit and the high limit, so then the component is passed from the inspection. So in this way, we can use the sigma comparator for checking the limits of the component. So initially we set the comparator with the working standard. By keeping the working standard underneath the plunger, by setting the comparator to 0, and then we will set the comparator to the lower limit, and then we will comparator set to the higher limit using the knobs, and then we will remove the working standard, and then we will place the job which is to be inspected. So if the job is produced within the given limits, then the pointer oscillates between the lower limit and the higher limit. If the component is produced beyond the high limit of the component, then it shows beyond the high limit, and we can reject the component, or and the component maybe needs rework on that component to get the component within the limits of the size. The magnification of the sigma comparator is calculated using in two stages. The magnification is calculated in two stages. In the first stage, the magnification of the comparator is, this is the effective length of the Y arm. Y is the effective length of the Y arm, and there is a X. It is the distance between the center of the cross strip hinge to the point of the knife edge. The effective length of the Y arm is Y, and the distance from the hinge point to the knife edge is X. So in the first stage, we get the magnification is Y by X. So in this, we can change the X position by using the attachment screws. So by changing the position of the knife edge using the attachment screws, you can change the distance between the distance of X, so that we can change the magnification of the comparator. In the second stage, the second stage magnification is achieved by so we have the pointer radius R, and there is a drum radius. The capital R by small r. Small r is the radius of the drum, and the capital R is the length of the pointer. So here the length of the pointer is fixed. So by changing the radius of the drum, we can increase the second stage magnification. So the total magnification is Y by X into capital R by R. So the magnification of the comparator can be increased by changing by decreasing the value of X and decreasing the diameter of the radius of the drum. So we can increase the magnification of the sigma comparator. So the overall magnification is y by x into capital R by small r. So thus the desired magnification can be obtained by adjusting the distance x by operating the two screws that hold the knife edge to the plunger. In addition, the second level magnification can be adjusted by using the driving drums of different radii. So what are the advantages of sigma comparator? If any shock loads forced on the plunger, those will not affect the inside equipment because the knife edge will be disengaged after some extent of the movement. That is the major advantage of this sigma comparator. And the second advantage is the constant measuring pressure can be achieved by using the magnetic plunger in sigma comparator. But what are the disadvantages of sigma comparator? Due to more number of moving parts, there will be a wear in the moving parts and less sensible due to friction in moving parts. Coming to the what are the advantages of mechanical comparators? One is low cost. So these instruments are usually cheaper than the other types of comparators. And it does not require any electricity for operating the equipment because it is the magnification is by means of levers, by means of gears, by means of pinion and rack. So this does not require any external source of power supply or air in case of pneumatic or electrical comparators. Hence, the outside sources do not affect the accuracy of the comparator. And another advantage is there is a linear scale. These instruments usually have linear scale, so which we can easily read. And we can also, these comparators can be easily handled because these are robust and compact, so we can easily handle and we can move from one place to the another place the comparators. And it will be useful to the workshop because these instruments are portable and can be issued from the storekeeper in workshop from one place to the another place. But there are some disadvantages also in the mechanical comparators. One is the friction is more. So these instruments usually have many moving linkages as compared to other types of comparators. Due to more moving parts, the friction is more. And the second one is the inertia is more. These instruments usually have more inertia, hence these instruments are very sensitive to the vibrations. So that causes the inaccuracies in the measurement. Accuracy is less. So because of having low accuracy due to more friction and high inertia, so accuracy is less. And wear, play, backlash errors also occurs in the mechanical comparators because there is a gears, there is a rack and pinion. So due to this mating of these gears, sometimes we may get the clearance between the two teeths of the gears so that we may lost the motion. So which causes the inaccuracies in the dimensional measurement. So these errors also magnified in the mechanical comparators, which increases the error in the measurement. And the range is also limited because these instruments usually have limited range of measurement as the pointer is moves only through the fixed scale. So we cannot use for measuring a wide range of measurements. And the last disadvantage is parallax error. So these instruments usually affected with the error due to parallax as the pointer moves over a fixed scale. So this is about the today's class. So in this we understood the working of Johansson microcator. So in Johansson microcator uses the twisted strip to magnify the small linear movement of the plunger into the pointer instead of gears, rack and pinion. So it is also called as a twisted strip comparator. The two halves of the thin metal strip which carries the uh, very light pointer are twisted in opposite directions, so that also rotates, that causes the rotation of the pointer. Therefore, any pull on the strip will cause the pointer to rotate. The one end of the strip is fixed to an adjustable cantilever link, and the other end is anchored to the bell crank lever. And the other end of the bell crank lever is also fixed to the plunger. So any linear motion of this plunger will result in movement of the bell crank lever, which exerts the either push or pull force on the metal strip. So this will change the length of the strip, so the pointer will also magnified accordingly. And the magnification of sigma comparator usually 1000 times the um, measurement, 1000 times the movement of the plunger on the calibrated scale. So this is about the today's class, and these are the references we followed for preparing this lecture. Thank you.